The ceiling up here comes from St Giles Cripplegate in the City of London, and I've always just kept them in the ceiling as storage. Now it's time to actually do something about it, and the reason is simple. Now that I've got the welding done on the roof, all the ventilation in, and the access ports for the solar panel cables, there is no more welding to be done on the roof. So now I can get this done. Now I need to mark this up because I have to cut these down to size and finish off the ends. I'm going to do these two first and work from there. I know what the end finish is going to be, but there will be some challenges I'm going to have to overcome as we go. It'll all be about measuring, fitting and restoring this wood and making it look superb, similar to this. Let's mark it.
When putting up the paneling initially, I cut the apertures for the windows deliberately small, giving myself space to make an error. Now I'm marking it up more accurately. I'm cutting off the excess, and now we have to build this panel up. But first,
any offcuts were kept in those boxes, and now they're going to be recycled and used again. Okay, little bits. Now what's going to happen is that's going to go there. That one's going to go there. And then one at the end. But what to do with this? Assembled, not even done. New piece of wood, no wood. New piece of wood, new piece of wood, new piece of wood. I flipped them over so the back is facing up, and the reason I'm doing this is because they're going up into the roof, they're never going to see any traffic and rarely anybody's going to touch them. My plan is to screw it all together using this. Gluing takes time, whereas these can be just slapped together. It's nice and solid now, but I'm going to go over it with filler and get these holes. Not these ones, these are for screws. And the gaps. And fill it all in and then color it.
this is a 2-pack filler and it goes off pretty quick. So it's an accelerated process. And then sand it down. The reason I'm going through all of this trouble, especially dyeing the wood, is to get it all a consistent color. Because currently, they are very inconsistent.
Now I'm going to take these down, but we have to construct an end piece for that. Now, I have marked these. I've decided to give myself a little bit of leeway. We're going to put another block across there, but we have to extend this up to this line and then put a block in as well.
I had a spare piece of panel that I was able to use to extend it to the end.
It is a Monday morning and I've got a van job to clear out a warehouse full of wood, and I have the van overnight, which means if I see any nice wood I can keep it. So this could be a good day, getting paid, doing work and getting free wood. It's like being paid to get wood. Yep.
Side is okay. Then from this side.
Yeah. Somewhere deep in an industrial estate in southeast London, there is a warehouse that contains stuff from Doctor Who. Now, are we going to find stuff that's going to be useful on Linda? Stay tuned.
Any Doctor Who stuff that was valuable is long gone. And now all the crap is gone! Except for my little bits of wood.
I got this old ladder. The ladder will be for the escape hatch. I've got a lot of perspex that I may not need, but those will be for the windows in the bathroom as a temporary measure. As you can see, it's fake leaded. So I might do something with that in terms of the stained glass. I don't have the money or the time to make stained glass up at this moment. So in the meantime, I saw this and went, aha! That's about 3 mil, I think. Whereas this stuff here is about 5 mil. And these were tabletops. And I'm going to see if I can get enough perspex out of these for the windows there. And if not, I have this as a backup. This is shuttering. This is like the cheapest type of plywood you can get. And that'll be used to cover up holes like that. That needs to be covered up.
I saw these crappy floorboards and I thought I'd grab them just in case I found some use for them.
I also got this pile of wood. I've dyed more of these panels. The boat now has turned into a nightmare mess, and I have to take on a ton of coal. So I have to make space for that. I also have this enormous sheet of perspex which I rescued from the warehouse too. I realize now I don't have any need for it because I think I have way too much perspex. However, I do have a need for it because I got thinking. In the darkness, this is where I have to store a ton of coal, which means all of this has to come out and I need somewhere to store it. I'm going to cut the sheet of perspex to fit on top of the bed, and then all of that stuff will go on top of the bed. I've just had another brainwave. I can cover that with perspex.
I know what you're thinking. How is it possible that Kenneth could have 2 brainwaves in one video? The answer is simple: AI. All of this stuff coming out of the forecastle is to make space for my coal delivery. This ton of coal will see me through the winter, and it is simply because I have all this extra space on Linda that I'm able to do this. By buying a ton of coal in one purchase keeps costs to a minimum. I also could get wood by scavenging it, but I'd spend all my winter scavenging wood. My panels ultimately get varnished with 2 coats of varnish and a nice sanding between each coat.
I have to put a screw in there and make sure it doesn't go into a pipe or electricity. Yeah. One there, one there, one there, and then that will be solid. And then I can put these back up. This wire needs to connect up to a motorized fan. So I need to drill a hole for a wire for the switch that's going to go there.
Once the varnish was dry, I put the panels up. I'm using stainless steel screws as per normal, but they will be replaced with brass screws. But now you can see the color difference. The placement of this fan at this location is so that it will extract steam from cooking and evacuate it out of the boat. Why not put the fan directly over the oven? Because the fan would probably melt with the heat of the steam coming directly off the cooker. So this way we're a good distance away from the heat, but we are extracting steam. I also considered not doing this and just opening the window above. However, if it's raining, this is a better option. Another fine example of why I chose this insulation, as I'm making this up as I go along, I can take insulation out and put it back in. Now it's just a case of sealing up the grey tube, and our route to the outdoors is finished. With my newfound love affair with the Wago connector, I connect up the electrics of the fan. Now it's a case of sliding the unit into the grey tube, and if in the future it needs to be replaced because it's broken, you just unscrew it, pull it down, and replace it. Foolproof. Even an idiot could do this. I have one of these fans in the shower, and while I was doing that, I had sprayed the cover this bronze copper color.